Hi there, Prairie Plant Girl here. So I'm in one of my less attractive parts of my yard here. I have a bin beside me here that I keep leaves in and that to keep for composting and mulching with. And then behind there is a bin of pallets and things that I use it's full of leaves to make leaf mulch, and it just sits there and they break down over the years. And it's just not that pretty. I collect, when I have stems and twigs and things that I want to be able to chip down and I need them to dry out and be out of my way, they come over here to sit. So it's kind of a messy area. But I see it a lot when I come out of my back door, and I would really like to be able to cover this up a little bit and make it a little more attractive looking when I look back this way into this corner of my yard from my house. So I have, I think you can see right here, this is a red-leaved viburnum. I don't know the variety because it was in my neighbor's yard when he moved there, and he decided a couple years ago he didn't want it anymore and dug it out and asked if I'd like it. And of course I said yes, because a free plant is great, especially a shrub. And it's a beautiful shrub. Right now the leaves are green, but they will turn a red color through the summer. A really nice, almost rusty red color, and then they get almost like a bronze tinge in the autumn, and the bark on the mature branches actually peels, and you can see they're quite flexible. So these are the branches I use when I'm making my homemade wreath forms. They work really well. They're nice and long and they're very bendy, so they work well for that. And the next summer, after he pulled that one out, he pulled another one out. This viburnum over here is the one that he just gave me. I think it was last spring, maybe the fall before, I can't remember. So it hasn't been here as long, and it was a smaller shrub, was cut back more and had been suffering. It just didn't have the right lighting conditions in his yard. So it's going to take a little bit of time to settle in here, but I expect it to be just as large and full and beautiful as the first one that I received from him a couple of years ago. So I really like these shrubs, and they get quite large, and they do help to cover this over as the season goes on here and they leaf out. But in the winter, they're not much to look at because with their dark bark, they really blend into the background. So one of the shrubs that I've always really admired and always kind of wanted a spot for in my yard, and I decided this is the perfect spot to put it, is a yellow twig dogwood. So this is Arctic fire yellow. So it gets gorgeous yellow branches and green leaves. And it's a little bit smaller as far as a dogwood goes. This one only gets, I think it's around 6 to 9 feet tall and 4 to 6 feet wide, I believe. So it should fit in this little area here quite nicely. And it can handle a fairly shady location. There is a maple tree right above me. You might see it dropping its flowers every once in a while here while we're doing this. So as it leaves out, there's a lot less sun back in this corner. There is, I think you can see, I think it's a white, I'll have to look up the tag inside and put that on the screen for you, but it'll get quite tall in the back, and eventually it will help to kind of hide this area back here as well. But it's a very columnar, very narrow, tall specimen, so it won't get in the way of the fence and the infrastructure back there. But this will just help to hide it in the meantime, and it will also be a nice plant in the foreground when that evergreen does fill in a little bit, and to have these bright yellow twigs in the winter against that green backdrop, I think will look really beautiful. So I think this will be a really good spot for this. These dogwoods always like to have a little bit of moist soil, and this is a part of my yard. It's very heavy clay. When I have clay that I've dug out of parts of my yard, this is where I often toss it. So it's very, very heavy clay back here, and because it's a little bit shadier, stays damper than most of the rest of my yard. So I'll be able to keep the conditions that this needs quite nicely here, I think. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it will grow and look here. The hardiness zone for this particular dogwood, and I think most dogwoods, is zone 2 to 8. So it's a very hardy shrub. It's actually native to North America, and that's another great thing. It also is supposed to get white berries. It'd be great if I had some berries back here too, just to add that extra little bit of winter interest. But it should be pretty much a 4-season shrub with it'll have flowers in the spring. It has a nice nice green leaf structure, nice form all summer long. And it'll get, those berries will start to form late summer, and they'll hold on, I believe, through the winter, or most of the winter, unless the birds eat them all. And then it has those bright yellow twigs through the winter. So get a lot of impact out of this shrub. So to plant it, and any shrub, I just want to dig a hole that's about twice as wide as the container that it's growing in, but the same depth. So I don't want to get it too deep and plant it too deep. And if you dig too deep, then even if you backfill the soil, you'll tend to have the soil sink over time and your plant winds up being too deep. So just the same depth as what it is in the container, but a little bit wider so the roots have an easier time digging out here. So I've just evenly spaced it. I've picked the spot, I measured it off earlier, and it should be the perfect spacing so that when these viburnums grow and this grows, they should all just start to just intermingle a little bit and work really nicely together. Now, of course, I don't know for sure because I don't know the exact variety of the viburnums, but I'm pretty sure this one behind me is very close to its full size potential. And all the viburnum and the dogwood can all be trimmed if they need to be. And in fact, dogwoods often will do really well with a rejuvenation pruning of just cutting it right back in the spring, or selecting out a third of the branches each year to prune out, just to help keep that bright color of the twigs and the stems. And the viburnum can be cut right back after it flowers in the spring if you want to control the size of it as well. So let's get planting. Okay, so I think I have this, yeah, this should be about perfect for height, and I've got a good width around it here. I did run into a root either from the maple tree, or I do have a cherry tree in the far back corner here as well that's just a really sparse old specimen. So I don't know how well you can see, but it really is quite heavy clay back here. But there is a little bit of sand that's kind of in this area, like sandy soil as well. So I'm not too worried about that heavy clay. Like I said, it'll be good for holding moisture for the dogwood. I don't think it'll hurt it to have a little bit extra moisture for dogwood. Clay actually has a lot of nutrients in it, so it's not a bad thing to have as long as it drains enough. And water doesn't tend to stand and pool back here, so I think we're good. I'm gonna add a little bit of bone meal just in the planting hole. That just helps with root development and will just be good to give this plant a good start. So, look, I don't think there's really one much nicer side than the other, but I think we'll put this side facing out towards the house. So. Has nice roots on it. Certainly is not root bound, which early in the season like this, it shouldn't be. Looks really good. So I'll put it right about here. I got this hole a little bit wider than it probably needed to be, but that's okay. So now we're just gonna backfill. And it used to be common wisdom to amend your soil with compost and things before you backfill with a tree or shrub. But as I said, I'm not going to be doing that. They've discovered now, they've figured that it's actually better for them to work to get out into the soil, just make good healthy soil for them. And otherwise they can wind up just wanting to grow in that one area of amended soil and not wanting to push their roots out further, which can be bad for the shrub as well. So this soil isn't like crazy heavy and compacted that they're gonna have trouble growing the roots out into. So I think we'll be good. So I'm going to press the soil down around the root ball, but I'm not going to like really compact it and smash it in there by walking around on it or anything. I'm going to go get some water and just water this in really well, because that'll help to push the soil down and fill in any air pockets that might be here. And then I'll continue to backfill until I'm up right to where it was planted in the container. So there, I'm really happy to have this yellow twig dogwood in my yard. I'm looking forward to the next year when it's all filled in here. Even by this fall, these are pretty fast growing plants, so it should be a really good size even by the end of the summer. And I think it'll just be a really nice screen for all of this mess that's going on behind here, and it will help to complement the wine barks and the evergreen behind here. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this dogwood get planted. Hopefully it gave you some inspiration for maybe a plant combination or a way to screen and hide something you don't enjoy in your yard. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.